Hey, what you say, food family? Mike here, and welcome back to the channel for another great culinary adventure. Today we're headed across the pond to make one of my favorite Western European classic comfort foods, shepherd's pie. Whether you're from England, Ireland, or Scotland, each region has its own variant, so we'll be sure to do them all proud today. We're going to break down a fresh boneless leg of lamb, grind that up so we can cook that with some veggies, top that off with some fresh made mashed potatoes, bake that off in the oven. We'll be eating like kings. If that sounds good to you, stick around and I'll show you how it's done. Let's get cooking. Alright folks, we'll start our shepherd's pie recipe off today by making our mashed potato topping. As you can see in front of me, I got two different types of potatoes here. I got some yellow golds and some Idaho russets. There is no right or wrong. I just like this particular combination of potatoes. It's a hearty, creamy, and delicious mix. You can use whatever you want, all yellow golds, all russets. Like I said, use what you got and what you like. So instead of peeling these today, I'm going to show you guys a little trick and we're going to save a little bit of time. So all I'm going to do is take my knife and we're going to run around just the skin, cutting in the skin, maybe that 1/16 of an inch. We're going to throw these in water and boil them. When they're done boiling, we can just pull that skin right off without having to waste our time peeling. So that being said, we'll go ahead and cut that line on all these potatoes. Alright, I'm going to put these in my pot, fill it with water. We'll get these boiling. Should take about a half an hour. Alright folks, with those potatoes boil away behind me, we'll go ahead and start working on our boneless leg of lamb. Now, the lamb I got here today is about 5 pounds. I only need 2 pounds for this recipe. I'm going to be making a few different things with this particular piece of lamb. So we'll go ahead, we'll break this down, grind up our fresh lamb for our shepherd's pie today. I'll get the rest put away and portioned out for my other recipes later on. When we come back, our potatoes should be just about done. We'll give those a check and see how we're doing. Alright folks, you just saw there, we got that lamb broken down for a couple different recipes. I got the stuff we're going to grind today in the freezer along with the parts of the grinder itself. It just grinds better if you have a bit on the colder to half frozen side. But that being said, our potatoes have finished boiling behind me. I'm going to drain those off, cover them with some cold water just to cool things off so I can handle them by hand. We'll come right back and I'm going to show you that cool trick of easy peel potatoes. Alright, so we drained off the hot water from the potatoes. I replaced it with some cold water just to cool them off so I can handle them. Let's check out how easy these things are to peel just from that simple slice in the beginning of the process. Already just coming off like that. Look at that, didn't even have to grab it. So I'll go ahead, finish peeling these potatoes off. I don't know if this hack's that great or not, but give it a try, see what you think. Sometimes it might just be easier to get your kids in the kitchen and hand them a peeler and say, go to town. Alright folks, I don't know about you guys, but I'm definitely not convinced that kitchen hack really saved us any time. I still had to get in there with a peeler and get these peels off. They did come off pretty easy once boiled, I will say that, compared to pre-boiling. But that being said, people at TikTok, put your phones down and read a book. Learn how to do something right and help the world for a real reason. Anyway, I'm going to be ricing these potatoes today, so I'm just going to rough chop them into smaller pieces. I've already emptied this pot out. And maybe that's the thing. Maybe I didn't cook these long enough. I don't know. Somebody will leave 40 comments below telling me how I screwed it up and how TikTok's the best thing since sliced bread, but I'm still not convinced. And you don't have to rice your potatoes by any means. This is just an easy way to mash them up with minimal effort. So, got my potato ricer here. Stick one in and go to town. We'll be right back. Alright folks, I riced those potatoes into our bowl here. I think this is plenty enough. I got a few extra if I need to make some more in reserve. But other than these potatoes today, I'm going to be adding some cream cheese. Now today I have some cream cheese with chives. That's just a little extra great potato flavor. We got some heavy cream, some butter I partially melted, and of course some fresh minced garlic. So the first thing I want to get in these potatoes is this butter. While they're still relatively hot, make sure that actually gets melted in there. And along with that, we'll do the cream cheese. Now, I've already used part of this container. I'm only using half the container today. You can use plain cream cheese as well. It just makes a nice, fluffy, pillowy top to our shepherd's pie. So use whatever kind of cream cheese or mashed potato flavorings you like to do. But I'm all about garlic and fluffy and creamy, so that's what we're going with here today. And ricing these potatoes actually helps a lot. You can do it rustic and just use a potato masher or a fork or however you normally make mashed potatoes. We're not doing anything game-changing here today. Just making some mashed potatoes that are going to be delicious to go with our lamb and veggie mixture. Alright, so these are getting there. I'm going to go ahead and toss my garlic in. Now I'm going heavy today. That was about 6 cloves I ran through my mincer. Use as much or as little as you like. I believe on my recipe card I actually just use granulated garlic. Also, again, up to you how you want to do it. Alright, these are thick. Need some cream here. And always remember, you can add more, but you can't take it away. You don't want to make these too liquidy. So start with about half of what you think you're going to need. Mix them in there. And add more if you need it. Alright, I think these will do the trick. Do a little taste test here. Pretty damn tasty. I'm going to give it a little pinch of salt and pepper. Set these aside. We'll come back. Let's grind that lamb up, and then we'll start cooking our shepherd's pie and assembling all these ingredients together. Alright folks, as you can see behind me, I got our creamy mashed potatoes sitting off to the side, just waiting for our filling. As you can see in front of me, we got our lamb. It's been in the freezer for about an hour, so it'll grind a little better. I'm just doing a regular burger grind today. I'm going to run this through my grinder once, maybe twice, depending on how it turns out. We'll come back, start cooking this lamb off with our veggies to make that filling mixture for our shepherd's pie. Alright folks, one quick pro tip here to get the last of that meat that's not ground in there yet. A lot of people put ice cubes down there. That's going to damage your blade. You can put bread down there, but why waste bread when you can just take a little bit of your pre-ground meat that's already ground, put it back in there, and that should push the last of the meat that's not been ground through your grinder. When you take the end off here, anything that's left stuck in there has already been ground, so it's ready to go. Alright folks, believe it or not, we've finally come to the point where we can start making the filling for our shepherd's pie. It's taken us several steps to get here, but it will be worth it in the end, trust me. We're going to start off with our lamb that we just ground. We're going to saute this over medium-high temperature, seasoned with salt and pepper of course, for 8 to 10 minutes. We'll let that brown off and be almost finished cooking before we add some diced onion. Now we'll let this onion go with the lamb for about 1 to 2 minutes before we add our garlic. Now normally I'm going to add fresh minced garlic here, but I thought, you know what, we already have 6 or 7 cloves in those mashed potatoes we got hanging out over here that's going to top this dish. So let's bump it up a notch. And today I'll be using some fresh roasted garlic I happen to have on hand. Great recipe to have. I'll link it down below. It's nice to keep this in the fridge for really elevating the recipe. Down home cooking at its finest. So we'll let all this cook together for another minute or so till we start to smell those aromas and that delicious fragrance of garlic and onions and meat cooking together. We'll be right back to make the next step. All right, folks, it is smelling amazing in here. It is time to finish off this shepherd's pie filling mixture. The next step we got to do is sprinkle some flour over our meat and onion mixture here and the roasted garlic. Just let that cook in for a minute or so, and I'm going to finish things off with some chicken stock, some Worcestershire sauce, a little bit of tomato paste, and we'll season off with just a bit of Italian seasoning. Bring that up to a boil, give it a good stir, reduce the temperature down to a medium-low, and let that start to thicken up and become nice, hearty, thick, and delicious. Once we get to that point, we'll come right back, put our last remaining ingredients in here, finish off this mixture so we can start to assemble our shepherd's pie. All right, folks, you just saw there we got a nice, thick, meaty gravy formed. One final ingredient for this shepherd's pie, of course, is our veggies. Today I'm keeping things super simple, and we're going to use a bag of frozen mixed veggies. All right, we got them open. We're just going to toss them in and stir to mix. All right, final thing we're going to do is just put the lid on this. It is off the heat. Everything's turned off. We're just letting the residual heat of that meat, gravy, onion mixture warm these frozen veggies up. And we're still got to bake this off, so don't worry about it. We're going to let this start to cool down just a bit, start getting this cleaned up. We'll come back, we'll start spooning this mixture into our baking dish, top it off with those mashed potatoes, and get it in the oven. Alright folks, it is finally time. We got everything ready to assemble our shepherd's pie. I got the oven behind me preheating 400 degrees. We got our meat and veggie mixture here. Simply remove the lid. And I'm going to spoon this in the bottom of my casserole dish. Now yours should be nice and thick for making that roux. I think I'm going to make 2 batches here today, rather than overfilling this too much. So I got my casserole dish here filled about 3/4 of the way full, as you can see. Now our potatoes had sat for a while by the time we ground our meat and everything today, so I went ahead, threw a little extra cream on those, warmed them back up in the microwave, stirred it up just so they're nice and loose. You don't have to do that step, it's up to you. If you want to get Martha Stewart fancy on it, you can put these in a piping bag and make a fancy design here. But today we're keeping this nice and rustic. It's shepherd's pie, not God's gift to man. We're just going to pour our potatoes on top of this, about a 1/2 to 3/4 inch layer. It's, personal preference, but I like about a 1/2 inch layer of those potatoes on our meat. And we're just going to pour these over. Like I said, having them hot and fresh makes them pour a little easier. I want to make sure I reserve enough for my second batch as well. And we'll just push that all the way out to the edge. All right, we'll reserve the rest of those for our second batch. Once our oven's finished preheating, we're going to throw this in there, let it bake for 25 to 30 minutes. After that time, we're going to pull it out and let it cool. Now today, because I have this casserole dish almost full, I'm going to be a little extra safe and place it on this baking tray, unless you really want to clean up your oven. Nothing should come out of this pan, but you never know. Sometimes you get a little extra liquid bubble over, especially if you got it right to the top. That's why I decided to go ahead and make 2 batches today, so I don't have to worry about it too much. But for the sake of this video, now you know the trick. Put a tray under it just in case. So as soon as this oven gets preheated, we'll throw this in uncovered, 25 to 30 minutes. That'll brown those potatoes off, get everything nice cooked, flavored together. We'll let it cool for 10 to 15 minutes, come back, give it a taste test, and see how we did. All right, folks, our shepherd's pie is finally done. We got it plated up here. It's not looking super pretty because when you go and scoop that out, unless it's cooled down quite a bit, the potatoes and the lamb and the veggies, it all mixes together. It's a hearty meal. It's not meant to look pretty, but we still made it look pretty for that little overview. What do you think? Anyway, let's give this a taste test and see how it turned out. We got some potatoes, some lamb, some veggies in there. Cheers. Oh, that's good, folks. I'm going in for a couple more bites. All right, folks. I don't know what to tell you, but if you don't have this shepherd's pie in your life already, you need to get there soon because it's just that delicious. We got that fresh ground lamb. By all means, if you can buy ground lamb where you live, purchase it and use it in this dish. You can replace it with ground beef, but it's shepherd's pie. Shepherds tend to sheep. Sheep is where lamb comes from, and that's the meat you should be using. Other than that, we got those veggies. Yes, I use frozen ones, but those are fresh out of the field, flash frozen, so it's about as fresh as you can get, even what you're going to buy fresh from the store. That roasted garlic cloves we use in that meat mixture, doubling down with that extra fresh garlic in the garlicky mashed potatoes on top. I don't know what to say, folks. This is the dinner you need to be making for yourself and your friends and your family as soon as you can get these ingredients. Check the link in the description below. That will see you on my website with instructions and the ingredients you need to pull this one off. If you like what I made here today, be sure to give this video a thumbs up. Comment below. Tell me what you would do the same or differently. Obviously, this is the base version of a shepherd's pie. You can tweak it. You could use Guinness instead of chicken stock. You could put some shredded cheese, some shredded Irish cheese in that mashed potato mixture on top. So many different things to do. Just tweak the flavors a little bit here and there, and it could go a long way to a whole lot of different palates and flavors in your family. So, that being said, until next time, folks, Mike here signing off. Just keep cooking.